Previously on building Benny's movie park. Well, it's definitely drawing more people here, that is for sure. So let's go over here and pop in a bunch of arches, something like this. That is very, very big. Also, some bases at the foot of these little pillars seems a nice touch. Very, very nice. And I'm also noticing we probably need some of these lights I made on this wall as well. And gentlemen, welcome back to this brand new episode of building Benny's movie park in Planet Coaster. Today we are going to be finishing Egypt, and as you can tell, some stuff has already happened while you were away. Therefore, this is going to be both a building video as well as a showcase video, but that comes in the second half of this video. So first we are going to build, and what specifically we are going to build is the coaster entrance queue, and just in general finish the whole layout of this coaster in terms of decoration. So let's not waste any more time, get straight to it. Let's begin at the very entrance. We need a sign for this. As you may know, this will be based off The Last Crusade, and it's going to be called Temple Raiders because that's cool. Genius reasoning as always. Let's go spell out temple first. Raiders. Good. And perhaps also Indiana Jones right above in a similar font at least. And a very simple support structure right behind to make sure it's actually possible for it to sit there like that. Here you go. And then again, what I'm hoping to do is create a sort of bevel again with the stroke around it to give it at least a similar style as the original logo for Indiana Jones, which includes a big extrusion behind it like this. So let's have a look what we can do here with some different colors. Just have to slowly make it darker as it goes up. That's a bit goofy, but it's the idea that matters. The further away you go, the better it actually looks, which is interesting. And something extra I've liked doing recently is adding an actual entrance sign underneath the big name sign to just kind of sell the effect even better that this is in fact the entrance. Look, just like that. Over here, I think we need some different fences. This is not great looking. Let's begin trying something out with this fence design. I think it kind of fits the theme anyway. There you go, just all the way up until the end here, I believe, should be fine. And then we can just make all of the rest invisible, and that is immediately super clean looking. Oh wow, that is much nicer. And the next part is definitely going to be tricky. Let me have a think about this actually. I'm actually gonna begin down here with a sort of wooden pole structure. I know what you think. What the actual hell do you mean? Let me just show you here. And we're gonna make like a wooden log in the center of this spiral staircase, going all the way up. Not sure how far. And then with these horizontal ones, I can hopefully create supports that hold this structure in place. Sort of, and serve as supports for the staircase, as you can tell here. I have to make that a bit fancier using maybe some of this stuff, maybe even some of these lanterns on it as well, so we have the whole thing done in one go. So look, what I'll do then is rotate it 45 degrees and then make it go up just as much as it reaches the stairway. Although that's maybe a bit too many. I just said that wrong. It is actually 90 degrees. In general, I realized it might not be enough, so I'm adding even more now, just to make sure the whole thing is nicely supported. And then I also think we need a very, very rough rock texture inside of this sort of tunnel. So let's see what happens if I do this. Might actually be a bit too dark, but we're gonna have to see in just a sec. All around here. Perfect. Maybe just a little bit of sand shining through to make it a bit more deserty. Deserty. Here you go. Could have a pretty cool look in the end. This whole top area, man, I don't know. I'm just gonna put some junk up here because I honestly don't really know what else to do. In general, this whole top area is kind of weird. I probably should have planned this a bit better, but what we have now is you go down here. It is pretty dark, but not too dark, I'd say, especially around night. These lights are going to be a lot brighter. So you just kind of go... Actually, we should probably do this sort of thing to make it feel a bit more realistic in terms of support. There you go. Yeah, that's definitely better, because without that, it just feels unstable. Okay, so once again, what we now have is... this. Let me just turn the torch off. You go down. Honestly, it is quite boring. I don't know what else to do because it's the queue as well, so it shouldn't be that extravagant yet. I guess it's fine. That looks really ugly. You cannot change that. Oh well. I guess you end up here and this is where it continues. Let's make a slightly fancier exit here and then continue onwards. Here you go. Nice and simple, but it works. Actually, all these people are kind of annoying as well. So let me just temporarily close this ride so they all leave because this is not ideal. In the meantime, let me just have some cucumber, which is transparent, of course. Over here, I am making just a very small little arch where people can go through so that these supports look a bit nicer and don't just cross the path. Not very nice. Here you go, just a bit higher, a bit bulkier. Okay, pretty nice looking, makes it a bit more random as well. Then this lamppost I just stole from the above area. Let me just go and spread these around just along this path. In the dark, this is going to be pretty dark. I suppose that speaks for itself. But also I don't really know what else to put here, so this is a nice way to simply spice it up without too much effort. Along with maybe an occasional rock just sitting on the side. Mostly some small ones though, just kind of sticking out. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Then now comes the big thing, Petra, which of course we need right over here. Let's get to it, I suppose. Obviously, this is going to be a miniature version of Petra because the real thing is a lot bigger than this is going to be, I believe. But it's really about the idea as always, so let's not worry about that too much. The entrance should be right about here. This is definitely going to be a lot easier than the previous time I built this. I mean, look at this. This is perfect. So what this basically is just a ton of these edges and trims and pre-made details because they're pretty much perfect and it would be weird not to use them in that case. It's a bit more lame and a lot more boring, but it works just too well not to do it. For example, this piece. This is identical to that. On either side, there are some sort of statues and they seem to be quite distorted and destroyed. So let's do something that looks the most Egyptian that we have, and that is a cat. Here you go. Pretty nice. Now we just copy that over to the other side. Here you go. I want to have some fake stairs inside of the building like this, and that seems pretty good for that front part. I just realized, why don't we just make this invisible path? We can make this look so much nicer. Wait, this does not need to be visible. Look, up until there, we can just make it a natural looking path. That's so much nicer. Dude, hell yeah. That is much better. Look at that. Anyway, back to Petra. We also need some torches on here because, of course, you need to see in the dark. Not that these give off a ton of light, but it's for the idea, which is a sentence I've said way too often today already. You may be wondering, when are you ever going to see this in its full glory, because from up close you can't really see it properly. Well, that is what this bridge is for. From up here you get a really nice view of this entrance, so that is mainly why it's here in the first place. Let's go ahead and finish this so we can move on to the interior, which is also so much work still. Like, it's actually crazy. First off, the base shape, just something along the lines of this, and then we need that circular centerpiece. That might be tricky actually. Let's first do the two pillars in the center, right about there, I believe, and then let's have a little search for the right pieces. This could be a decent start for at least the shape of it. We'll just try that over here. I mean, look, we can always do this, of course, but that's butter smooth, and we don't like things to be butter smooth. Or something. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be a very Planet Coaster-fied Petra. I mean, these statues are just not possible. Let's be real. It's just, this is gonna have to do. Do you know what I think? That is actually pretty good. It's not identical at all, but it's something. It looks remotely similar, so I think that is fine. We do need some lighting on this, for example a spotlight, because you can already tell it's going to be pretty damn dark in here. Let's make that nice and warm, fiery. Here you go. Same thing on the other side. Very nice. Yes. And then another very similar thing down here, shining upwards. See, that is really sweet. I love it. Only problem, I suppose, is you hardly ever see it with proper lighting on it. This, I suppose, is the closest because, well, you can tell. This is just not ideal, but it's cool. It's nice. It looks like it, so that's the point. So, with that entrance done, we can now go inside. This is going to take quite a while. Well, let's get to it. I really have to stop thinking I can just quickly put down some stuff to see if it works, because I just end up building an entire Oh. Anyway, so I did some off-screen building, which was supposed to be nothing, but here we are. It's really not that much. We have some rocks, some pillars, torches, and spider webs, and that makes for this vibe, which immediately looks really good, with of course a few spotlights up there. But that is crazy, how little effort this took and how good it looks. But anyway, the point is, I want to go over here and start with the actual indoor section of this ride, because I'd like to do some actual dark ride elements in here based off the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark. No, The Last Crusade. The very first thing that happens are the blades. I'm pretty sure we have, look, we have rotating blades. First, however, we need some more rocks, so let's put those in place. It is, once again, a sort of rock cave effect. And the whole thing practically has to start immediately, because after that, the next challenges will appear. So let's make a sort of chasm over here. Let's actually sit inside and see what the guests see. So that is that. That does go above their faces, I think. Yes, so that seems the perfect spot, in fact. We'll grab a blade and put it right in between those two rocks, and then it comes out like that, right? I think that should be good. That means we need one of these bad boys, the platform. That is actually perfect. It hides. That's great. So attaching that, here is what happens. Let's put this on trigger only and then choose probably, let's do slow down to up first, see what happens. We obviously also need a trigger sequence. Let's place one here. Call that blades. Add the correct object and then let's test it. So here the train comes. Let's see if the timing's right. Now that seems perfect. Let's have a look from inside the coaster. See what happens. Here you go. You go inside. Bit earlier, actually. We also need some lights because you can barely see that. First, let me just go ahead and finish the cave, because without that, we can't really continue anyway. This actually takes quite a while. At least it works. Anyway, over here, I'm gonna add these gears that you see in the movie as well. So we need a bit of an open area on the right side. Okay, so right now we have this. So the first thing you see is 1 and 2 blades. For that, we just need some lights, because right now you see absolutely nothing. So first off, from up here, we have what looks like daylight, I think could be good. So let's pop one here, see what happens. That's not entirely what I'm looking for. Let's try something else here. First off, we need some lights shining upon the blades so you can actually see them. Here you go, some different colors maybe. That looks like this. We still don't really see them properly. Maybe some light from below. Oh, yes. That is exactly what we need. So once again. There you go. That's better. Yes. And then over here, I'll add some of these gears and stuff like that. There you go. Then the same thing opposite of it to make sure it actually works as gears. And then the light that shines on them can be a bit darker and more bluish. Here you go. Lovely. Let's go and add even more for the dramatic effect. Here you go. So let's see what that looks like with the correct lighting. Oh, very nice. Okay, so with that done, we can move on to the next challenge sort of thing, which is, it's supposed to be the letter puzzle on the floor, but I don't really know how to do, or well, I don't know if it's nice to do that here because it's a roller coaster. Let's first just do the last part, which is the bridge. And that's what I built this twisty part for, as if you're crossing the bridge. So let's get to work. A lot of rocks are required to make this work, because we need a kind of ridge effect here. And ideally, we also have to make this look like it's outside, being lit by daylight. We can, I think, use spotlights for it, but I'm not sure. First, let me just finish this real quick. Now for the back side, I can just go and use plaster, because nobody will ever see this unless you look back, which I suppose some people do. Then a bit further down, let me just already create the sort of entrance bit like this. Nice and simple, shouldn't be too hard. And then we need to turn this into a sort of cliff chasm thing. To make my life a bit easier, let's first just do a flat wall so we know where exactly it's supposed to be, like that. And then all that we have to fill up using some rocks. And it has to look something like this, which is going to be quite Quite some work. Trick is, I think, using a ton of these slim rocks to create those vertical kind of lines we have going on. I think that might be the way to go. Just like this. Regardless, this is going to take a while, so let me just fix this real quick and be right back with you.
6.5 hours later.
Okay, so here we are. I have a next idea already to make a sort of fake sky in here. What I'll just do is create a plain blue plateau spanning all across the width of this room. And I mean, it's not rocket science. I'll use this to create a fake sky. Let's have a look. That should be about this low, I think. And then, yeah, we just need some lights to shine on this. So first of all, what happens if we add some lights to it shining down? How much light does that give? None. Oh, wait a minute. This has to be white, obviously. Here you go. Okay, that's already... Wow, that's not even bad. Wait, and it beautifully darkens the underground so you see a black... That's great, actually. What the hell? This works fine. The only problem is this. You're gonna see it. On a very rare occasion, the lighting in this game does some weird stuff. Like, why is that? That's not nice. Do you think this could fix it? No. No, it doesn't. Maybe if we just spin this around a bit further to the front. Yep, that does it. Enough, at least. This makes it look even brighter, which is, I think, good in this case. Really make that feel like daylight. Here you go. Okay, and then here you are going to see all the different cups and beakers that are supposedly the Holy Grail. Before getting to that, if you would like to see these videos earlier than everybody else, consider becoming a member. For just a few bucks a month, you get early access to all my videos. Sometimes it's days, sometimes weeks, depends on how far ahead I am. Simply click the join button to become a member and go from there. Then now, let's get right to it. I began over here with a very simple flat underground surface, which is made out of stone ruin walls. Because the idea is to create a giant dome to represent the room with all the beakers and cups in it. And for that I first need a base, that is this. Afterwards I would create a sort of dome shape using the same walls except vertical and then curving up into the center. If you place all of this in the right spots, you actually can turn it around itself without using any sort of platforms or whatever else. So that actually works pretty well. You can already tell my room is going to be way bigger than it's supposed to be, but it's fine. I have to fit a whole coaster inside, so I don't mind that too much. I then popped in some stone sort of tribunes for all the cups to sit on. Quite important detail here. And then next, in the center, I decided to go with just some more rocks, because why not? I'm pretty sure in the movie that's what it looked like as well. On the back, there's just a wall of natural-looking rocks. Then onto some of the lighting. That includes mainly these candles you see. That's something the movie has as well, so I thought we just absolutely need that. As well as some spotlights across the room, one in the center at the top and then a few on the walls shining downwards to make sure you don't see too much of that ceiling. And those elements combined pretty much create that dome piece I need. And that's where my recording stopped again. Anyway, after that I put down a bunch of candles, a bunch of lights, and just a ton of these cups, all sorts of different sizes, shapes. Of course, to resemble this scene. It's not really identical. My room is a bit bigger. It's way oversized, but it will have to do. It's fine. It looks nice. Then after that, you go all the way up here, the chain lift with a very simple tunnel around. And well, that's where the... That's where the rest of the ride happens. Then at the very end, you make your way back to the unloading station through this very simplistic tunnel. It's very dark, but actually that's fine for this. You again enter this room here. You go through some more tunnels, some stone ruins, and then here is the unloading station. This is very simple, just a few pillars, same thing I did over here, just a different color light. And well, you go out here. You make your way all the way up this very, very boring staircase. I do not know what to do, to be fair. It is very tedious. It's round, which doesn't help either. And then there's that. I might fix this off screen at some point, but I'm not sure what the hell to do there because it is so ugly and so impractical. But anyway, that is then the ride. I think that pretty much wraps that up. Besides probably some more rocks in the canyon area, which I don't typically really consider to be this Egypt area. I think that's it. I wouldn't know what else to do, really. because everything else I've already done, which I'll show you right now, I suppose. Because quite a lot changed since the last time y'all saw this. First of all, there is now an Egypt sign. It's very simple. It works. And at first you won't see many differences, it's pretty much still the same thing. Apart from the color of the ground, it's now much more colorful. It was very gray-ish and just really not nice. So I made that a bit more vibrant to match the buildings, and that looks really, really good. And this is where the first changes start. These electrical poles are a new addition, and I do think this does a lot for that Egyptian vibe. It's just so nice, it makes it look a bit more modern and yet very old at the same time, but it's not ancient Egypt, so that's very important. So yeah, as you can tell, just some lines going across the area. These also have some lanterns on it because I thought that was a fun little look. That brings me to the second thing, the Gyro collision course. The bumper cars now have a nice looking entrance with an actual sign and everything. The whole queue is also completely fixed. It now looks nice, taken care of. It's pretty simple, as you can see, but at least it's now completely finished and decent looking. What the hell just happened? Ignoring that. That's not the only ride that's now finished. This ride also had an upgrade. There's now a sign saying entrance around the corner. If you go around that corner, there's also a bunch more lampposts. By the way, almost forgot. But here is Pharaoh's Flip, the entrance for the top spin. What the hell is going on? The paths are behaving very weirdly today. Anyway, again, the Pharaoh's Flip. Let me just go over here into the queue because the queue has had an upgrade as well. This is quite simple. But then here, this room, I really love the way this looks. It's so Egyptian. I just really like this. And again, it is just pre-made elements put together into this pretty small room, but I just like the way it looks. It's warm, it's cozy, it's Egyptian. So yeah, pretty good stuff. And outside here, a bunch of very, very basic scenery parts. And that leads you to the entrance, which is this. You go on the ride, then you get out over here and go to the, well, back to the main area. So that is that ride. Let me just have a look what else is new. Besides, of course, the giant coaster in the back. I think that is pretty much it. Wait, no, it's not. Over here, we of course have the restaurant, which is now called Oasis 1936, because that's the year Indiana Jones takes place, the first movie at least. So nothing changed in here, it's just that name. Oasis seems good since there's a bunch of trees and vegetation here, so yeah, makes sense. Then, here we go. The biggest addition is now that this whole area is finished as well. This plane was already here, it's a bit more dusty now though, but of course this coaster is completely new. It's a kids coaster and it's probably one of my best layouts yet. It is super small, super basic and simple, but for what it is, I actually think it is so good. It just feels realistic somehow. So let me just go over to the entrance, which is here. This is based off the Tanis dig site, which is a scene in the movie. It looks about like this. And I think I quite captured that vibe, with of course adding a coaster to it. But anyway, let's go into this queue. It is a very simple queue, but it does what it's supposed to do. Here there's just some cattle pens. Yes, very nice. We love them. Moving on, we just go underneath all these poles here, across this landscape, underneath some more wood, and that leads you to the entrance. Let's have a quick ride. You can tell I did add a bunch of dust and mist, which does so much to the area. I should do that more often because it looks amazing. But anyway, let me just skip through this. La la la. Here we begin the descent into the Tanis dig site. And I don't know why, I just love this layout. It's simple, but it's funny, funky. It's kid-friendly most of all. That's kind of the point, it's a kids coaster. And then there's the last little turn here. Well, not the last. This is the last turn. But I never know what to say. You can tell I'm just yapping. I don't know what to say during these. Anyway, you then get out on this side, make your way back to the plane, and yeah, bit of a better view here. This is the coaster from above. It's, again, a very short and compact layout, but I do love the way it looks. All of these are a bunch of the pirate scaffolding pieces, which work perfectly for this vibe. And I even used those for some of the coaster supports, even though there are actual supports, because that's a bit more realistic, of course. But it's a nice bit of decoration, and that's pretty much what that's supposed to be anyway. So, yes. Is that everything? I think that is pretty much everything I did. And that also means that now the whole area is finished. But looking back, I may have gone a bit too far with this, especially given this movie not being that popular. Like, it's a popular movie, don't get me wrong, but like among younger people, I don't think it really is that big of a deal. Not as much as Marvel, or I want to say Star Wars, but is it? Point is, it's maybe a bit too extreme for what it's supposed to be, but still, it looks nice. And it's crazy we can now say that is fully finished. That leaves me with one thing, well, a few things, but mostly this. What are we going to do with this? It's not going to be a whole new area, we've been over this, but I do need to do something with it. Even if it's just a straight path going to Egypt, what is that going to look like? Like, is it just going to be a desert? Any ideas are welcome, especially for this, because this is probably the most unfinished part of the whole park right now. Exciting stuff. I can't wait to actually make like the final POV videos with cool sound effects and, you know, voiceovers and whatnot. Some on-ride audio, which is really going to turn these into experiences rather than just rides. So yes, I'm yapping as always. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell not to miss a single future video, and then I hope I'll see you in the next one.